Very happy to have this next gentleman with me. Very smart guy, and just a good soul. Frank Luntz is a pollster, political analyst extraordinaire. You know, Frank, I'm looking at this and wondering, first off, on Fetterman and the split views. You know, people who don't agree with him politically, pained for him. People who like him, pained for him. I know polling isn't out yet, but what do you think?
We're sympathetic to someone who's been through those kinds of challenges. I went through this 2.5 years ago, so I know what it's like to go through it. I know what it's like to have your words kind of get stuck. That said, I'm not running for the U.S. Senate. And it was his decision. And I think, and he was a very good candidate before his health issues, I think it would have been very proper for him to step aside, allow another Democrat to run in his place, and then 2 years or 4 years later, pursue your goals.
But he didn't do that. Now what happens? What do you think of the decision to go ahead and debate with 2 weeks to go?
I think the people of Pennsylvania have a right to know. And so I actually think he made the right decision for ethical reasons, for moral reasons, democratic reasons. He performed very badly, and it should concern every voter. Does he have the capability in a state as important as Pennsylvania? Does he have the capability to truly serve the people? I think the debate showed the answer to that was no. But in the end, a candidate has to be responsible for their own actions. He has to be responsible for choosing to stay in the race and choosing to debate.
So how do you see all of this going, particularly in the Senate?
I have been very pessimistic for Republicans. I am increasingly optimistic on their behalf. There was a time when I thought the Democrats could actually gain 2 or 3 seats. Now I think the best that they can hope for is a 50-50 tie. The 2 races that I'm watching are Pennsylvania and Georgia. And the Republicans have a reasonable shot at picking up 1, if not 2. That's where
Pennsylvania would be keeping a seat if Republicans take it. Georgia would be a pickup.
Yes, and
so that Herschel Walker race, this latest woman who's saying, you know, the whole he was addressing an abortion thing with her years ago. He denies it, but what's the impact? You think too soon?
We won't know for another 48 hours what the polling shows. I do believe that he's down a couple percentage points, but the Republicans are very energized in Georgia.
And that's a runoff, so you have to have 50%.
And it doesn't look like either candidate will reach that. They'll come just short. And in the past, until 2020, Republicans won every runoff.
Yeah.
In 2020, the Republicans decided to stay home. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, are they going to participate? Have they forgotten what they were told in 2020 by too many people, that their vote doesn't matter, that the vote's not going to get counted? For the first time in 2020, Republicans stayed home. So the key here is, can you reverse that trend? Can you say to the Republican Party, not only does your vote matter, but you may determine the control of the Senate through this seat?
Who is more jazzed to get out there? We have these record early polling numbers in states like Georgia, 2-degree Florida. Who's more psyched to get out there?
Well, I want to broaden it. If the record early numbers, where's voter suppression that they keep claiming, that Stacey Abrams claimed again and again in Georgia? If we have record voting, how are people being denied the right to vote? It doesn't make sense.
It's a very good point.
And it's very frustrating to me because we got to challenge voter corruption. We got to challenge voter suppression because we're losing faith and trust in our democracy right now, and faith and trust in the electoral process.
Well, obviously, people are showing more faith in the electoral process than we give them credit for. But I'm just wondering who's galvanized more, Democrats over the Roe v. Wade thing, or Republicans over the economy thing, or even those Democrats who might not flip over what's going on with the economy?
Young Democrats and older Republicans are voting at a higher percentage than they normally do.
Yeah.
I think they're going to cancel each other out. The vote that I'm looking for are Hispanics, Latinos. They're
tipping more Republican.
And they're moving from 28% Republican in 2016 to 38% in 2020 to 45% today. If that trend continues and they come close to 50%, then the Republicans could capture the Senate as well as gaining.
Well, let me ask you about this.
Seats.
The president is Syracuse. He's talking up the economy is doing better. He referred to the GDP number, which was positive. There are a lot of reasons for that. But after 2 contracting periods, he says we're on our way. He's celebrating the fact that Micron Technology is going to invest another $100 million in that neck of the woods. Is he helping or hurting these candidates, though?
He's not helping them by claiming the economy is fine when you can't afford your groceries, when you can't afford your fuel, your electricity, your insurance. If you say to people, everything is great and happy days are here again, and they literally run out of money at the end of the month, they're going to be pretty mad at you because it doesn't show up in reality. And inflation is reality. It affects you in every community, affects you in every corner of the country. And I want to applaud you before this segment ends for doing this so straight, so down the middle, that people can tune into this show and watch you and know that they're getting the truth, because that's the #1 value that the American people are desperately searching for. The candidates and the parties that commit to the truth are the candidates that are going to win.
I appreciate that. But Frank, let me just get your general assessment of how this tees up. Here I am. We're not done with 2022, and I'm talking about 2024. President Trump's going to be everywhere. We already know that President Biden's going to be everywhere. Is a rubber rematch in the works here? What do you say?
Well, to potentially break a story, I don't know if you've covered it, but Donald Trump is seriously considering announcing a week from today, before the election, because he thought the Republicans were going to win the House, going to win the Senate. He wanted to take credit for it. He's now backed away from it. He may deny it, but he told people who raised money for him, he told political people that this is what he was going to do.
He's also said, by the way, that anyone who moves against him, if he has moved, that he will run. That's a great act of disloyalty. I'm paraphrasing. What did you make of that?
He can't intimidate people out of the race. And Governor DeSantis from Florida is a very credible candidate.
So DeSantis would run whether Trump does or not?
I believe he does. I believe Governor Christie does. I believe that there are half a dozen Republicans who will
So they
go for
won't
it.
be dissuaded from that or catch the hell of fire from President Trump?
Oh, they'll catch the hellfire and then some. It's
Yeah.
pretty hot when Donald Trump's angry at you, as we both know. On the Democratic side, there's no way that Joe Biden is running for. You can't run for president if you can't walk. There is no way that Biden is going to seek re-election.
Really?
And frankly, the vice president has got the lowest approval rating of any VP since Dan Quayle.
Well, that's
in the
usually very
1980s.
tough for the party in power, though, when the top of the ticket says, I don't want to run again for the ticket, no matter the reason, right? So
That
it
gives-
would be problematic in 24.
But the truth is, we have no idea what's going to happen in Ukraine. We do not know if Putin's going to use a nuclear weapon. We do not know how much damage it's going to do to the global economy. There's so many unknowns. I do know this. The public is angrier now than they've been ever before, more frustrated, more afraid. And the candidate that offers genuine change is the candidate that gets elected.
Interesting. Frank, always good seeing you again. Frank Luntz, a very, very good read on all things politics and just trends in this country.